Yu is a loser who's zero at everything. Even his talents come with a user manual he never got. Despite being the son of the legendary Subaru Ayase, he's stuck in a school full of super prodigies with boss-level skills. The three Mikadano sisters, Shogi Queen Miwa, Karate Beast Nico, and Stage Diva Kazuki, basically rule the place. Yu just wants to make a real family like his mom wished, but these sisters treat emotions like expired coupons. Still, he sticks around like emotional duct tape, hoping his cooking and kindness can melt their genius-level ice walls. The spotlight hit, the curtains flew back, and boom, the drama started rolling like a stage play written by destiny with a spicy sense of humor. This was no bedtime fairy tale. This was a roller coaster of talent, chaos, and family ties tangled tighter than headphone wires in a washing machine. Enter Saika Academy, aka the ultimate talent factory, where genius was the dress code and mediocrity got kicked out at the gates. Students there didn't just take notes, they invented them. Every hallway echoed with elite energy, every classroom buzzed like a boss fight waiting to happen, and into this pressure cooker walked a boy. No flash, no skills, no fanfare. By the school standards, he looked like a background NPC who accidentally wandered onto the main stage. But here's the kicker. This ordinary face was about to be the main character in a show that nobody saw coming. Not the teachers, not the students, not even the ghosts of alumni past. A new story began, one wrapped in legacy, loss, and way too many siblings. And center stage is a boy who shouldn't have made the cut but somehow did. Enter Yu Ayase, 17, painfully average, and the unfortunate heir to the world's brightest spotlight. His mother is Subaru Ayase, who is a global sensation, the goddess of the silver screen, and a woman so dazzling she made award-winning roles look like casual cosplay. Brains, beauty, and the ability to leap from helicopters without a stunt double. Her resume is top of her class overseas, however, her son's resume is mostly blank. Yu transferred into Saika, which is a school so elite even its janitors had headshots, and on day one he was already getting called out by one of the upperclassmen to show some bite. But this poor kid didn't even have milk teeth left. But they demanded him to prove his worth in combat, maybe athletics or acting, or maybe in magic. But Yu had never touched any of that. His only fight experience was with vending machines that didn't give change. Still, under pressure and rage, Yu snapped, declaring that he is not his mom. With all the dramatic flair of a soap opera meltdown, he squared up, threw a punch, and tickled the air. The crowd blinked. They wondered if that was a butterfly slap. The other guy retaliated, launching Yu straight into the Department of Bad Decisions. Knocked down, bruised, and humiliated, the son of a goddess fell like a mortal. Every time, the same loop played out that son of a prodigy must be a prodigy too, and every time, disappointment followed. Lu had long accepted it. He knew the script. He'd been playing the part of the underachieving son for years. Bruised but not broken, he rose, smiled devilishly, and delivered a mic drop line. The more mediocre someone is, the more they obsess over talent. A punchline so savage, it needed a permit. His opponent stared, shocked not by power, but by the eyes. Those eyes. The eyes of a top actress. Turns out, the only thing Yu inherited from his mom was stage presence. The vice captain, flustered by the scene, tried to hammer some potential into him, literally. But just before he landed a blow, wham! The captain of the martial arts club landed a flying kick that sent him spinning like laundry on a rinse cycle. Her message was clear that martial arts has standards, and punching amateurs isn't one of them. And then, boom, the school's power balance shifted like a boss battle just unlocked. Not angels, not demons, something far scarier that is the holy trinity of Saika Academy. The nickname is the Three Royals, voted most likely to break the world if they ever teamed up in dodgeball. First came Kazuki, the stage queen whose talent in performing arts made entire ticketing sites cry for mercy. Sold out shows, standing ovations, and fangirls fainting like dominoes. If drama had a final boss, Kazuki already beat it. Next up, Miwa, the brainiac assassin, youngest shogi champion in history, ran math problems faster than calculators, probably had dreams in code and nightmares in binary. If intelligence was a sport, Miwa had already taken the gold, the trophy, and the stadium. And last, Nico, the athletic nightmare, martial arts prodigy, built like a comic book character, had the stamina of a racehorse and the strength to bench press small planets. Yu gives them one look at them and boom, instant statue mode. Could have sworn the temperature dropped 5 degrees. That wasn't an entrance, that was royalty descending, and every cell in the room knew it. Kazuki approached like a queen inspecting livestock and declared, mediocre, zero talent. Nico wanted him in athletics, thinking she could whip him into shape. Kazuki wasn't having it, no incompetence allowed. Yu simply raised a paper of his transfer to general ed. They blinked, they wonder if this school even has that. Kazuki, Miwa, and Nico realized for the first time that their elite school had a mortal division. Then came the punishment, dojo duty. Yu argued rightfully that he wasn't even in their program, but the royals didn't do logic. Losing side cleans, they smirked. Buckets were handed over like sentencing papers. Muttering curses, Yu looked like he'd lost a bet with destiny. Students gossiped, if he is really Subaru's kid. Disappointment hung in the air like a bad aftertaste. Evening fell. Dojo is spotless. Mats so clean they reflected broken dreams. And as Yu limped home, he reflected on his past. As a kid, he chased his mother's praise, mimicking her every move, but she was born to shine. He was born to squint in her light. Their distance grew not from hate, but the painful reality that love doesn't guarantee similarity. Back when the world was a little brighter and reruns ruled the living room, there was Homemade Bride, a low-budget family drama with more hugs than plot and more life lessons than logic. And for Subaru Ayase, world-class actress and actual queen of the screen, it was peak entertainment. Not because it had explosions, not because it had mystery, but because it had something rare, a family that stuck together. She watched it on repeat like it was her soul's comfort food. When asked why, her answer was pure heartstring tug material, because she wants that kind of family. Her final wish was straight from the Feels factory of find a happy family. Anyways, Rio reaches at the address which was given to him by Mr. Mikadano. He sees that it is not a house, not even a mansion, a final boss-level castle with automatic doors, marble everything, and enough Wi-Fi routers to broadcast to the moon. Floors so shiny they needed their own sunglasses. Ceilings high enough to launch a satellite. Enter you, awestruck, bedazzled, living the tour in real time, until, bam, a flying kick from Captain Nico, Saika's human hurricane and certified martial arts menace, came out of nowhere like a plot twist with abs. She assumed Yu was a burglar. Yu assumed she lived in a fight dojo. Both guesses aged like milk, because this wasn't just any house. This was the Mikadano sisters' lair. Then she slipped, fell to the floor, and looked like a turtle on its back. Comedy gold. Yu, being a gentleman, tossed her a towel. She barked and asked him what his deal was. He calmly replied, "Preventing colds is part of martial arts." She told him to keep drying her. He did, with the deadpan focus of someone drying a wet cat. Miwa and Kazuki come in the scene, one complaining about tight sashes, the other running what looks suspiciously like an herbal medicine empire. Nico, still in berserker mode, pointed at Yu like she was on courtroom duty. He broke in, she declared, with the confidence of someone who kicks first and asks never. Yu panicked and wondered what kind of sitcom this was. Mr. Mikadano finally called. His voice is calm, deep, exposition heavy. He explained everything about his friendship with Subaru, the promise to watch over Yu, and the twist to meet his daughters. Yu now lived with the three royals. The mansion got 200% more awkward. Miwa rejected him outright. Nico called him a freeloader. Kazuki stared like she was watching budget theater, but Yu stood tall, introduced himself, and announced his desire to get along. They ignored him harder than group project members. Yu tiptoed into the pigsty they called a home. Dirty dishes, moldy socks, a haunted fridge. He stepped on Kazuki's underwear. She nearly exploded. Meanwhile, Nico and Miwa threw blame around like dodgeballs. Kazuki had shattered dishes mid-wash, Miwa had more laundry than a fashion model, and Nico pretended not to notice the chaos. Yu took one look at the mansion chaos and, without flinching, declared, "Challenge accepted." By nightfall, the house sparkled like a toothpaste commercial. The dojo was so polished even ghosts would slip, and the floors seemed to be reflective enough to summon self-reflection. The three royals returned to find their royal turf turned into a 5-star resort. Confusion hit like a plot twist, but instead of gratitude, they pulled out receipts, aka his test scores. His academics are below sea level. His acting is a full-blown war crime against performance. His math is the numbers begged for mercy. Nico immediately called him sketchy. Miwa slammed the red emergency button and yelled, "Fraud!" like it was courtroom anime hour. Kazuki just sighed the sigh of an older brother who just realized his new roommate might be a walking F grade. Yu is standing there with the world's cleanest broom and the world's dirtiest GPA. Respect is not unlocked yet, but the saga is just heating up. The next morning, Yu made breakfast. Nobody ate it. Classic prodigies are too busy. Nico karate chopped tiles. Miwa wrestled her AI, and Kazuki led a cold, mean rehearsal. They dashed out, leaving Yu to sip tea in a silence louder than applause. Yu has a flashback of Subaru's diets, her single-serve meals, her obsession with rolls. Just like these girls, driven, isolated, and impossible, yet maybe not unreachable. Nico returned, spotted the food, sniffed, salivated, ego battled hunger. Yu teased her and ate in front of her like a troll. She broke down nutritional data like a sports dietitian on a warpath. He learned more about vitamins in one rant than in 12 years of school. They left. He sat, alone again. Anyways, before they left, Yu says to them to have a nice day. The three of them paused. Those three gifted sisters, each touched, confused, maybe slightly disarmed, walked off pretending they hadn't hurt him, but they had. And so began the true story, not of a prodigy, but of a boy, bruised, broke, but bold, who dared to take on three sisters, one mansion, and the legacy of a legend. Yu was told that Kazuki faced a brutal audition. Nico aimed to retain her crown as national karate champion, and Miwa was headed into a brain-melting shogi title match. The message was clear. If these hurdles were tackled together, it might finally spark some bonding between the prodigy trio and the clumsy outlier dumped into their lives. Once the call dropped, doubt marched in like a landlord demanding rent in emotional currency. The question loomed large. Was there any real use for someone whose talent rating sat snugly between painfully average and shouldn't have even shown up in both brains and brawn? Mediocrity didn't just hang around, it poured out like cheap cologne at a school dance. A discount tier mortal armed with enthusiasm and absolutely nothing else, standing beside three prodigies built like anime final bosses. Even while hanging laundry, because apparently socks don't fold themselves. Even in dramatic crises, it became crystal clear these legends in the making didn't know what a weekend was. A whisper echoed through the silence. What if all three prodigies actually failed to clear. A haunting echo followed. Being the son of superstar actress Subaru Ayase wasn't exactly a cheat code for success. Memories returned in full cringe, the insults, the side eyes, and the sheer Olympic-level disappointment from others. Being average in a family of icons was like being a flip phone in a smartphone store. Conclusion: there was no savior cape waiting. The plan is to try whatever was possible. He runs to the grocery store. A pile of ripe tomatoes glistens like they were blessed by the sun itself. With the goal to eat alongside the Mikadono sisters, healthy meal planning became the mission. Later that evening, the front door clicked open. Nico entered and was hit with a warm welcome back from Yu. The scream that followed nearly shook the roof off. Apparently, the fact that he lived there still hadn't registered. There he stood, ladling soup like a five-star chef trapped in a slice-of-life anime. Offering a taste, he asked if she wanted a sample. She responds in suspicion mixed with sass and asks Yu if this was a bribe-by-broth scheme. She whipped out her own meal and proudly rejected the offering. Post-shower glow achieved. Nico emerged from her room only to find culinary chaos in the kitchen. Flames danced like a bonfire concert, and Yu was in the middle of it all, nose deep in a fortress of cookbooks. Rejection only turbocharged his determination. The counter was flooded with recipe guides. Either he was aiming to impress or opening a pop-up restaurant. Miwa entered the war zone next. Yu greeted her like a waiter unveiling the day's special, urging patience while he crafted the ultimate dinner. Nico, still fuming, called the display pathetic, clearly a cry for attention. A memory surfaced. As kids, a fancy chef had tried feeding them, but all three rejected him. Since then, Nico has maintained strict control over her diet. Dinner meant ham and corn salad, low-fat protein, minerals, calcium, vitamin C, and no nonsense. Just as the first bite of her lab-approved lettuce and loyalty combo was about to begin, curiosity threw a surprise left hook. One glance at Yu's creation, and boom, full-blown nutritional enlightenment hit like a protein-packed freight train. There it was, a perfectly balanced meat dish engineered like it came from an Olympic training manual. Jaw unhinged in disbelief, the stats landed harder than a final exam. 32.4 grams of protein, 72 milligrams of vitamin C, and 250 milligrams of calcium, all flexing on the plate like nutritional avengers. And the miso soup seems like a 5-star wellness retreat for the digestive system, bubbling with amino acids like it had a PhD in gut health. He looked exhausted, like a culinary warrior who fought through the flames for nutritional justice. All recipes were dietitian approved and personally tailored to her needs. The effort of him is of Olympic level, but the gratitude seems like non-existent. Nico finally conceded to a single bite, only to be floored by how decent it tasted. Give props to the recipe writer, she muttered, trying to play it cool. Miwa, watching from upstairs like a food judge in hiding, licked her lips. Busted. You spotted her and yelled out, 660 milligrams, no context. Turns out, that was the DHA count tailored just for Miwa. She joined the table. Nico rolled her eyes. She wonders if this dude was really cooking DHA-specific meals now. Unable to handle his stare, Nico demanded he look elsewhere while she ate. Both girls sat at the table, silently sizing each other up like two lions over a protein bar. One comment from Miwa about Nico looking a little chubby was returned with immediate fire. Kazuki soon strutted in. On the menu, brown rice with veggie risotto, green and yellow veggies for that beauty glow-up, vitamin A and B2 for radiant skin, the salmon marinade, packed with astaxanthin, an antioxidant that could charm mirrors. The goal of her is to boost Kazuki's complexion like a 5-star filter. She took one look and noped out. Congrats on seducing the others with food, she said while storming upstairs that none of this is for her. Yu, still determined, warned Nico that one more bite would push her 48.5 grams past her carb quota. Emotional eating equals chubby consequences. Her face morphed from angry wolf to flustered panda. Later, in an empty classroom, Yu sank into thought. 3 days in Mikadano Mansion, and still, Kazuki remained colder than freezer-grade tuna. Despite his breakfast missions, no progress had been made. A plan formed to take the initiative. Outside, Kazuki was mobbed by fans. Top art student status meant VIP treatment. Yu waved like a lost tourist. The crowd gasped and wonders if he is Subaru Ayase's son. They whispered. Kazuki, dripping with disdain, blocked him off. Stop casting your shadow over my spotlight. Yu coughed dramatically. Stayed up all night, thinking of how to win her heart, and there's something only he can give her. He ensures her that she is gonna love it. The crowd gasped again. The double meaning hit like a meteor. Kazuki, scandalized, yelled that he will pay for this once they are home. The crowd gets an absolute meltdown. Nervous. Duck faces all around. They all starts wondering if they are living together. Someone whispered, "You, just gone with the wind, unaware he just dropped a PR bomb." In need of backup, the next target is Nico. Maybe she had tips. She was surrounded by the karate club, clearly their queen. He waved at her. Instant flashback. His creepy comment about tracking her nutrition haunted her like a bad ringtone. Rage levels rising. The vice captain snapped and warns Yu to not call her by her first name. Yu sensed his final chance. After fumbling with Kazuki and Nico, Miwa became the last shot at. Miwa, lost in her phone and casually solving impossible math questions, was leagues above everyone else. Yu begged for lunch company. Miwa didn't just reject him, she flat out sprinted away. He chased. Somehow both ran at matching speeds. Huffing, puffing, and wheezing, Miwa gasped. Yu called out that athletics clearly weren't her strength. Small talk followed. Miwa, an aloof brainiac, admitted being out of sync with typical high school banter. Royal status problems. Yu nodded in solidarity. Same here, royally dumb, royally weak, royally short. Miwa blinked. This This was royalty from the dollar store. Even his inherited looks screamed false advertisement. Brain short-circuited, yet truth resonated. Being different hurt, but it also made people special. Yu wasn't too distant from the issue, just awkwardly close. He wanted to understand. Miwa clapped back, maybe work out. What to say before trying to sound deep. Then came the breakthrough. Miwa shared a childhood memory. Kazuki once asked their mom to cook just for her, a rare moment of selfish joy. Lightbulb moment, maybe that was the key. Yu panicked slightly, how far back Miwa's memory could even reach. Still, the lead was golden. Kazuki entered. Yu, bubbling with excitement, asked her to check what he was making. This time, she'd love it. Nope, she collapsed. Minutes later, Kazuki woke up. Just a little fatigue, she claimed. Miwa touched her forehead and yeeted back. She was practically a space heater. Nico told her to stop acting like a stoic anime lead. Yu arrived with a porridge masterpiece. Kazuki raged and kicked everyone out. Alone in bed, she whispered, why can't he stay healthy and feel so pathetic? Being the star meant non-stop rehearsals. The pressure was real. Yu still cooked away. She still refused. Again and again, he brought carrot soup bursting with immunity boosters. She snapped. Supplements had everything she needed. On her way out, she tripped. Yu tried to catch her. Both fell like dominoes. She tells him that he is too weak to catch her. He offered a solution to let him rehearse with her. After all, as the son of Subaru Ayase, confidence came free with the baggage. He even claimed to have debuted at age 2. Kazuki remembered her senpai debuted at 6, still better than him. She half laughed. Decent actor for a certified failure. He took her script. Learning that she played the prince, he decided to be the princess. Curtain up, Kazuki booted him from the room in record time. She cleared him out that he made false advertising, that he debuted at 2 because he sucks at acting. He confessed. His mom pulled strings, and every audition after ended in tragedy. He will do better, he pleaded. She slammed the door. Next day, round 2. Script read, confidence high, still terrible. The day after, read it 10 times, still sounded like a cardboard box. But the next day, the door remained shut by Kazuki. Kazuki, curled in bed, admitted the pressure had turned into a weight. The fear of failing, the constant need to dazzle, it drained her. But something had to change. She peeked downstairs. Yu sat watching recordings, rehearsing lines. Despite chores in school, he trained nightly for this. Still sucked at it. Yet, the next day, something shifted. He nailed one line. Kazuki, stunned, didn't throw him out. They acted together. She extended her royal hand. He responded, tears and all. After 14 years, emotion finally appeared in the performance. She couldn't believe someone cried over one line. Weirdly enviable. Maybe it was time to eat his food. Good news broke that she agreed to try his meals. His joy exploded like confetti. Leave it to him, he cheered, ready to be chef supreme. But a condition emerged, awkward, shy, and delicate. On her bed, she braced for the confession of the year. The bomb dropped. No carrots, no bell peppers, no mushrooms, no eggplants, no bitter squash, and no wood ear fungus. That was it. Yu's face dropped as he learned that this is not a dark secret, but Kazuki is just picky eating all along. Miwa and Nico were left frozen at the sight of Kazuki eating actual food like it was no big deal. Their expressions screamed monster sighting, as if they just witnessed a culinary cryptid. All was peaceful until carrots entered the chat. The moment grated carrots were revealed, Kazuki's face turned crimson like she'd been betrayed by life itself. Carrot-induced heartbreak had officially. With synchronized footsteps, the three prodigies marched out, announcing a dinner boycott. Silence from the dinner table echoed more than usual. Thoughts drifted back to the days when the mother of Yu vanished for a month straight due to work. That silence had once carved a deep gap, one not easily mended. Now, echoes of that past played on loop in the quiet dining room. Talented to the core, those three mirrored the brilliance of a once absent mother. In that reflection, only a shadow stood, someone painfully average, a spectator in a world of stars. Words from the girl's father floated back, idealistic yet tough to live by. The final wish from a late mother came into focus, wrapped in warmth and sorrow. A happy family, easier said than done, harder to define. A cheesy TV show, homemade bride of his mother, turned into the emotional support blanket of the evening, featuring fictional mom who smiled like rent was paid and the fridge was full. No drama, no evil twins, just casseroles, family hugs, and suspiciously clean kitchens. Each wholesome scene hit harder than a surprise slap from grandma. That kind of dream didn't sparkle, it slow cooked like Sunday stew and grinned like a toddler with cake. Simplicity had never been so powerful or so aggressively heartwarming. Reality checked in without knocking. The show ended, tears were flowing, and boom, the prodigies walked in. Yu was caught mid-sob, surrounded by tissue casualties in the homemade bride finale. Kazuki assumed a mother complex meltdown, but the truth is that it was just quality family content. Sometimes drama wasn't needed, just vibes and a decent plotline. Kazuki approached like a skeptical HR manager during an emotional breakdown. She told the crying mess not to overdo chores to win them over. Nico, never one to hold back, casually reminded him of his freeloader status. A rage button got pressed like a vending machine. What followed was a rant about regrets, mothers, and redemption arcs. The goal wasn't just earning brownie points, it was forging bonds that lasted. A wish to connect this time for real took center stage. Nico rolled her eyes hard enough to cause an earthquake. She declared families were overrated PR campaigns. Before she could finish, the TV hero proposed to his girl with fireworks, and then they both shared a kiss. The trio's eyes popped like faulty soda cans. The three of them wonders if this guy just asked to be family like that. Imagination ran wild. Each one pictured a bridal veil, a kiss, and vows with dramatic lighting. Fantasies spiraled into chaos. Suddenly, a simple birthday question became a declaration of familial warfare. Older sibling. Debates kicked in like a schoolyard brawl. Teeth were clenched, brows furrowed, and judgment was delivered. You stood alone against three devils with matching death stares. The dream of becoming part of that family felt like trying to join a band without knowing any instruments. Later, bath time turned into full-blown battlefield recon, complete with steam, suspicion, and sibling side-eyes. Nico caught wind of a forgotten bread mission gone rogue and leapt out of her soak like a shampoo-powered ninja. Her face is redder than a tomato in a sauna during tax season. Miwa clocked the crimson instantly and jabbed in like an investigative reporter on caffeine. What followed was denial in deluxe packaging, rosy cheeks, not blush. You handed folded clothes to Miwa, a casual act that caused nuclear-level blushing. A single hand touch had Miwa panicking like a middle schooler at her first crush. Nico grilled her like an angry ant. Miwa's response was a classic backpedal, rosy cheeks again, apparently. Suspicion levels soared faster than romantic comedy tension. Nico dropped the bomb of crushing on the freeloader. Miwa fumbled, and the slip confirmed it all. Chaos ignited like someone lit fireworks indoors. Kazuki entered, blissfully unaware of the emotional explosion. A simple shelf request led to another unexpected blush. Emotional dominoes were falling hard. All three sisters began fighting like rival pop idols with a shared crush. Confusion and awkwardness filled the air like incense. You, ever the peacemaker, suggested unity among siblings. The trio stormed off like divas leaving a press conference. Left alone, he cleaned up the mess and stumbled upon a clue from the past. A childhood photo of the trio, framed by a cherry tree and a guardian statue. The smiles. And that photo told a story the current chaos couldn't. Curiosity bloomed about the forgotten location. The sisters claimed ignorance, but something felt off. One of them clearly cared more than she let on. Realization struck that family isn't just about bonding from one side. A true family considers everyone's silent wishes. Morning arrived with separate exits, each sister chasing her dreams. House duties landed squarely on one overwhelmed yet determined individual. He scrolled through the phone, tracking Miwa's journey to the Tohoku region. Kazuki's performance remained a mystery, another puzzle piece waiting to drop. Nightfall brought everyone together for a quiet pre-trip ritual. Hot milk, room bookings, and neatly labeled maps became part of the send-off ceremony. The hotels, rated like royal lodges, were meant to provide comfort. Miwa, however, feared bland hotel food might just be her downfall. Yu teased her craving for his cooking, only to receive Olympic-level denial. A promise to cook a welcome home feast was made nonetheless. Meanwhile, the battlefield shifted to the Mando Mano Women's Open. Miwa, a shogi queen in disguise, unleashed a flawless victory with zero hesitation. Genius-activated match dominated. Next up, a formidable fourth-degree master awaited. Miwa, unfazed, planned to spar with AI simulations in her downtime. A cherry blossom festival caught her attention, bringing a flash of nostalgia, yet she shrugged it off because emotions weren't on the schedule. Hotel check-in brought a bigger shock. Kazuki, front and center. Kazuki explained her theater gig was nearby. Before another breath, Nico entered with her own tournament excuse. The three stood frozen like glitching NPCs. Yu appeared like a plot twist and dropped the bomb. All three were booked in the same room. Surprise family retreat, no refunds. The goal of Yu was to let them open up, reconnect, and vibe like actual sisters. A Cherry Blossom Night Festival was pitched as the perfect bonding plot device. Yu played the festival conductor with pride. He even mentioned the same festival from that old photo. The sisters immediately fired back with a trio of that they don't have time speeches. The secret weapon was revealed, a shrine for competitors' luck. Nico clapped back, claiming only losers needed divine boosts. In response, a pamphlet emerged, listing martial artists, stage queens, and prodigy icons who all visited that shrine. Kazuki decided the festival was acceptable social media material. She demanded high fashion from her sisters. Yu took the lead, guiding them to Waka Kimono Rentals. The shopkeeper nearly fainted from the sheer glow of the Mikadono sisters. Outfits were promised that matched their glittering presence. Kazuki and Miwa suited up like fashion show finalists. Nico, however, sat sulking in a corner like a character waiting to be unlocked. A denim-themed kimono appeared, which is sharp and bold. Childhood. Memories of tomboy jeans surfaced thanks to a stern father. But then came the wild card. Yu had picked a floral pink piece. Laughter echoed from Kazuki and Miwa, teasing Nico for the ultra-girly style. Yu disagreed, claiming it suited someone cute and compact perfectly. The choice was hers to go. Full tomboy in denim or bloom like spring and florals. After dramatic hesitation only rivaled by anime cliffhangers, Nico reached for the pink one like it held the key to a secret power-up. The result comes out of an absolute jaw annihilation. Gasps flew faster than gossip in a beauty salon. It was a transformation so magical, even a Sailor Scout would have paused to applaud. The Cherry Blossom Night Festival bloomed with crowds, and Kazuki got swarmed like a celebrity on sale. Her popularity hit harder than expected, true top star energy radiating from every pore. Cheers, selfies, and praises flew in non-stop as if the festival had turned into a fan meet. While the crowd swirled, her sisters wandered freely, unnoticed and carefree. The star actor remained locked in performance mode, even amid lanterns and candy stalls. While handling admirers like a royal, Kazuki spotted the others enjoying the festival like actual humans. A nearby girl, visibly salty with envy, tried to sneak away but tripped hard enough to earn a soundtrack. In a dramatic swoop, Kazuki saved the fall like a caped crusader in heels. The girl was carried bridal style, Prince mode activated with max charm. Applause burst from every corner. The crowd just witnessed a real-life romance anime cutscene. Once the girl was placed gently in safety, Kazuki barely had time to breathe before being yanked into the bushes. Out popped a tray of food, courtesy of a one-man catering unit trying to save the star's evening. But the response is absolute rejection. She tells you that the food bribes won't work forever. An annoyed side-eye followed, especially since stalker-level observation had been clocked. Apparently, even sandal straps got noticed, which triggered accusations of creep behavior. The food wasn't the issue, it was the silent limp Kazuki tried to hide while playing hero. The condition of her foot, now exposed, shocked the gift bringer more than a plot twist. Yu thinks that carrying someone with that injury is pure madness or pure dedication. Bandage time kicked in, despite sarcastic comments flying like confetti. Despite the sass, the injured foot landed softly in the lap, and care was given with gentle precision. Elsewhere, Nico got locked in an intense battle, not martial arts, but salmon snatching. The fishing competition turned into a team sport, with Kazuki now wearing a mask like a drama queen going incognito. Yu and Kazuki teamed up like rogue agents while Miwa and Nico stood on the other side ready to rumble. Miwa suggested Kazuki keep that smiling mask on permanently since her real expressions could fry circuits. What followed wasn't just a game, it was Olympic-level rivalry in disguise. Warnings to tone down the intensity got ignored like spam emails. The battlefield got so heated that the festival conductor had to step out for peace. A detour led to the legendary Lotus Hopping Luck Challenge, a once-a-year event of chaos and soggy regrets. Victory meant an unbeatable competitor's luck and a chance to pose with the Golden Shrine Guardian. The bonus of this is that photo, when used as a wallpaper, worked as a permanent luck buff. A childhood photo clicked into memory, the three sisters at this exact shrine, smiling like the world hadn't yet gone full chaos. The goal became clear to recreate the photo, revive the bond, and maybe crack a smile or two. But the problem is, the Lotus Leaves played dirty, and for 10 years, not one person had crossed the path without sinking. But legend had it, 3 little girls once crossed, perfectly, leaving 0 splash. Yu's first attempt sank faster than bad fanfiction. No one else dared to try again, except this determined disaster of a challenger. Onlookers begged him to stop, mud-covered, soggy, and barely upright. The odds weren't cute. Rain joined the show like nature's own. But something clicked. Brains, brawn, and observation had once combined to carry 3 sisters across. Another attempt began, fueled by grit and sibling nostalgia. This time, the path revealed itself like destiny owed him a favor. Step by step, hop by hop, victory finally landed. Cheers erupted, and the prize photo was offered with confetti-level celebration. But instead of posing, the winner paused. 3 people still needed to join him. Unfortunately, the weather had other plans. An early closure announcement shattered the mood, leaving the area deserted like a sad rom-com climax. Alone and soaked, the failed conductor collapsed onto the muddy ground, drowning in self-blame. Regret painted every thought, dragging overworked prodigies out here only to split them up again. The dream of bonding shattered like cheap porcelain. Silence fell, heavy and loud. Then came the sound of footsteps and 3 umbrellas. Standing above the mess, Kazuki, Miwa, and Nico stared like disappointed managers. Shock lit the soaked mess's face as the trio reminded him they weren't heartless. Kazuki commanded the conductor to do his job and lead. Nico apologized for the lack of umbrellas, blaming a festival-wide sellout. Umbrella sharing commenced, turning the storm into something soft. A heartwarming family moment bloomed beneath dripping trees and one barely useful umbrella, the kind that screams emotional damage incoming. Words flew faster than gossip in a beauty salon, each voice trying to win the Decibel Olympics. The result is of pure chaos, like a group chat exploded into 4D. Arguments popped off like fireworks on sale, leaving one poor soul looking like a loading screen. Yet somehow, in all that madness, the moment felt weirdly perfect, like homemade soup with too much salt but all the love. No one knew what was being said, but everyone definitely felt it. Voices overlapped like a badly edited dub, and sense took a personal day off. Still, between all that noise, a strange harmony danced in the background like jazz that shouldn't work but absolutely slapped. The poor soul caught in the middle wore confusion like it was Paris Fashion Week. But right there, amidst emotional dodgeballs flying left and right, a quiet smile showed up. Awkward, genuine, and totally undefeated. Later, bath time kicked off at the hot springs where Miwa behaved like she'd been, dropped into a sauna full of aliens on vacation. Side-eye levels reached DEFCON 3. Nico, forever the chaos conductor, brought up the umbrella drama like it was primetime tea. A rock-paper-scissors death match was launched. Winner gets the penalty of sharing cover with the human thundercloud. Meanwhile, the so-called prize stood behind them, looking like unclaimed luggage at the airport of shame. Steam rose. Tension built. Nico cracked her knuckles skills like a gladiator prepping for combat, while Miwa stared like the whole thing was beneath her but still played. Enthusiasm is non-existent, and the prize is a wet, awkward mess of a person no one volunteered to walk beside. Victory tasted like mild suffering, and defeat came with a side of social trauma. Nico lost the match and walked under the same umbrella, grumbling like she had just run a marathon. Every step felt exaggerated, as if cardio had been summoned from thin air. Suspiciously, self-checks began, testing if limbs still worked. Miwa and Kazuki turned to find her poking herself like she just got hit with puberty. Shocked expressions screamed one thought, that if Nico finally decides to unlock her feminine arc. After a good soak, they stepped out of the bath feeling brand new, only to find a walking mud sculpture standing proudly at the entrance. No surprise, Yu had come just to wish them luck, forgetting one critical thing: a place to sleep. No room, no reservation, no backup plan, just vibes and failure. Collective disbelief hit the sisters. They always knew he was a loser, but this confirmed supreme incompetence. Yu was ready to disappear into a 24-hour net cafe like a side character in a dropout arc. Kazuki stopped the madness, tossing a mattress in the room like a reluctant hero. While setting up the room, a crisis emerged. No robe, no extra clothes, nothing but mud and broken dreams. The search began for emergency wardrobe options, each sister reacting like it was laundry day apocalypse. Miwa blushed while handing a towel, as if robes now triggered dating. Sim dialogue. The moment the bathroom door closed, the yelling began. Tiny room, too many people, and zero boundaries. Meanwhile, behind the door, the lone boy insisted on being treated like invisible floor dust. The water ran loud enough to drown out logic, yet silence didn't come. Sleep refused to visit. Beds creaked, thoughts raced, and tension buzzed like a mosquito. On his side, however, peaceful slumber came in just 2 minutes. Snoring like someone who'd cleared all emotional levels, the conductor rested. Kazuki gazed over and broke the silence. Why did he pick that pink floral kimono for Nico? The answer surprised everyone. It was something Nico adored as a kid. Shock followed, paired with revelations about Kazuki's hidden joy during the festival. Miwa recalled the past, how she once dominated ring toss and shooting games. The nostalgia train was gaining momentum. Kazuki added that back then, at least those stalls were open to them. Miwa remembered going full sharpshooter mode, thinking she was in peak condition. Nico, however, revealed the truth. Kazuki was sneakily taking down targets behind Miwa's back to help her win. Miwa was stunned. These hidden kindnesses never used to surface. Life at home always meant separate paths under one roof. Yet now, here they were, sharing memories like a proper family. Somehow, that dummy with zero planning had pulled it off. The photo taken that day reflected everything, then and now. Miwa scrolled between the images and sighed in disbelief. That dummy really was something special. The next morning, the television lit up with breaking news. The Mikadano sisters had conquered their stages. Despite a night full of chaos, weirdness, and emotional roller coasters, the prodigies still reigned supreme. Yu noticed the sisters starting to vibe like a semi-functional group chat and remembered the sacred pact. He owed them dinner. After school wrapped, he headed home only to walk into a dramatic tableau. All three sisters lined up like they were about to face a final boss, aka Mr. Mikadono. The atmosphere had the tension of a surprise math test. A polite greeting was exchanged, and Mr. Mikadono, in his usual icy elegance, offered condolences for Yu's mother. Still, he reassured that her talent hadn't vanished and is just transferred to the next generation, provided that generation stopped tripping over his shoelaces. Mr. Mikadano requested performance updates. Kazuki reported packed venues, glowing reviews, and an upcoming interview. Nico mentioned winning another championship and preparing for the next, vowing not to slack. Miwa shared that she had won her preliminary matches and aimed to go as far as possible in the title matches. After hearing all updates, Mr. Mikadano prepared to leave. Yu, in full polite mode, tried to extend a dinner invite like a peace treaty with side dishes. Mr. Mikadano shut it down faster than a pop-up ad. Spotting a mask nearby, he raised an eyebrow and asked about it, like Sherlock Holmes with better posture. Yu explained it came from a recent festival, the same one the sisters used to attend as kids. Nostalgia with a side of grilled squid. That only raised more suspicion. Mr. Mikadano zeroed in, questioning why Yu was tagging along on their rise to greatness. Yu, channeling his inner tour guide, mentioned the shrine's good luck for champion's reputation, basically the spiritual version of a performance booster shot. The idea of relying on luck was dismissed. Mr. Mikadano emphasized that true success comes from persistence, not wishes. Mr. Mikadano made it crystal clear that his daughters weren't raised on bedtime stories and warm hugs. They were forged in ambition, tough as nails and twice as sharp. Their brilliance, he claimed, had no business being dimmed by anyone weak. Then, like a villain unveiling receipts, he casually dropped the bomb on Yu that his background had been thoroughly investigated. Marching over, mask in hand like it was Exhibit A, he laid down the verdict. 0 accomplishments, nada, zilch. And despite having Subaru Ayase, a national treasure of an actress, as a mother, Yu had somehow managed to clock in at painfully average on every measurable scale. The mask shattered both literally and metaphorically as Mr. Mikadano crushed it like a final verdict. Then came the verbal nuke that talentless individuals had no place in that house. Yu stood frozen, absorbing the insult like a sponge in a rainstorm. But the storm wasn't over. One more lightning bolt struck. Not under that roof. No free rides on the Mikadano train. Before the scene could go full demolition, the sisters jumped in like a human firewall. Kazuki stepped forward, cool as ever, cover and admitted Yu had no shiny trophies or spotlight moments but credited him for doing the heavy lifting at home. Nico chimed in with her signature, honesty, calling him a failure at most things, but one who vacuumed with vengeance, conquered laundry piles like a knight, and cooked meals that kept their engines running. Because of his behind-the-scenes grind, their talent stayed front and center. Mr. Mikadano questioned the defense of someone barely known. While not intending to dishonor Subaru Ayase's memory, he struggled to see compatibility between his daughters and Yu. Kazuki, joined by her sisters, firmly stated that they felt at ease around him. A reminder followed that Mikadanos were not meant to socialize with outsiders. They were no longer children and should avoid festivals or similar distractions. Their father laid down the law, improvement above all, no detours, no distractions, and definitely no dinner parties. With that, the sisters turned and walked away like soldiers marching back to battle. Yu, still holding on to hope in a grocery bag, revealed the ingredients he had carefully picked for dinner, certain it would lift their spirits. Nico, without looking back, dropped a frosty apology. There simply wasn't time for his food anymore. A week crawled by. The house reverted to its previous state, cold, quiet, and emotionally vacuum sealed. But something had clicked in Yu's mind after that showdown with Mr. Mikadano. The sisters' intimidating excellence, their non-stop grind wasn't just personal ambition, it was inherited pressure, molded by a father who saw warmth as weakness. And, although he wore the mask of a polished gentleman, that day revealed the weight he placed on their shoulders. Just when things had started to bloom, the petals got stomped. Nico trained harder than ever, yet her food now tasted bland, despite resembling her past meals. Kazuki, immersed in rehearsals, held a perfectly balanced smoothie in hand but had no desire to drink it. Miwa munched on her usual snacks, now tasteless, while convincing herself there was no time for such distractions. The routine before Yu's arrival resumed. Still, thoughts drifted to the meals he used to prepare. Sliding back into their old routines turned out to be less like riding a bike and more like tripping over it repeatedly. The spark was gone, and the silence returned like an unwelcome guest who never takes the hint. Meanwhile, Yu sat alone at the dinner table staring at empty chairs and replaying scenes of shared meals, bad jokes, and half-burned curry with a side of laughter. The vision of a happy, united family felt straight out of a corny TV drama, idealistic, cheesy, and completely unrealistic. Still, buried under that mediocrity was a powerful echo, his mother's voice, her belief, her warmth. That memory lit the stubborn little flame that said, do something, hold this fragile thing together before it disappears. The next morning, Nico noticed Yu's silence, no cheerful farewells. During lunch, she discovered a carefully prepared bento from him. Lunchboxes were also packed for Miwa and Kazuki. Her heart brimmed with emotion, yet the appetite vanished. Back at home, the evidence was crystal clear. 3 bento boxes, cleaner than a monk's conscience, not a single grain left behind. Later, the sisters summoned Yu for what felt like a business merger with emotional stakes. They proposed a co-stewardship deal, equal parts teamwork and silent judgment. But the fine print hit hard, no visible results, and he'd be evicted faster than a stray cat from a 5-star hotel. Kazuki marched up like the bossy big sister in a cartoon and laid down the rules to keep helping out. And maybe he'd get upgraded from background character to sidekick. A big, scary audition was coming up, and yep, she totally needed his help. Yu, feeling the pressure of 3 geniuses stacked on top of him like a human pancake, made a heroic promise to pack lunches every single day. He basically swore loyalty with a lunchbox in hand. But the sisters weren't buying the whole family dream. That title is denied fast. No hugs, no warm fuzzies, just a clear label slapped on his forehead, support crew, like a backstage ninja who slices vegetables instead of villains. Another round of perfectly prepped lunches, complete with a cheerful, have a good day, that hit like a warm hug in bento form. The sisters floated out the door with spirits high enough to need seatbelts. Meanwhile, on set, Kazuki slipped into a wig and instantly morphed into the dictionary. Definition of cute overload. But the moment her friends rolled in, she ripped that wig off faster than a guilty dog drops a chewed up slipper. Reputation is protected. Nico and Miwa remained busy with their own tasks. The day ended and all 3 returned home separately. This marked Kazuki's first audition for a female role. Nico, meanwhile, sought another championship victory with Yu's support. Expectations weighed heavily on them. Upon arrival, the 3 shared a meal at the table. While washing dishes, Yu was joined by Kazuki, who offered to help. When asked about the new play, she admitted it was her first time taking on such a role and nerves were setting in. Observing Yu's perseverance despite being clumsy, she smiled. Suddenly, Yu slipped and fell. Blood poured from his nose. Kazuki rushed over but slipped as well, accidentally pressing her lips against his. An immediate apology followed. An accidental kiss, nothing more. Later, with tissues jammed up his nose like a DIY plumbing job, guilt came crashing in like a soap opera twist. Kazuki had just kissed a guy who was actively leaking from his face. Romance level is 0, but the trauma level is too high. Yu thinks that Kazuki has given all the stage kisses in her acting resume, so she probably shrugged it off like a rehearsal blooper. Still, nothing could erase the horrifying truth that his first kiss tasted like iron-flavored regret with a side of nosebleed special. Meanwhile, Miwa was living her best dessert life, savoring Yu's soft, jiggly jelly like it was made by angels with Michelin stars. With zero hesitation, she casually remarked, it felt like nibbling on moist, tender lips, culinary poetry with maximum awkward. Kazuki, triggered like someone just spoiled the ending of her favorite drama, slammed her coffee mug onto the table hard enough to scare scare the furniture. Miwa, completely lost in the sauce, literally offered her a bite, still clueless that she'd just drop-kicked a landmine. Kazuki stormed off to her room, slamming the door like it owed her money. Moments later, Walt set in without knocking. Bold move from someone with the grace of a falling bookshelf. She screamed about basic manners that could have cracked glass. He awkwardly explained he came to clear the air about the accidental lip crash, suggesting that someone of her elite status probably didn't want her. Kiss record tainted by a freeloading failure. Best to act like it never happened. But once he left, Kazuki sat there blushing like a tomato at a tanning salon, completely short-circuited by the idea of pretending a kiss never happened, especially that kiss. At the Tsukishiro review, Kazuki's thoughts lingered on the comment. Still, focus had to return to the audition. A new heroine role was at stake. The decision to take on a female role stemmed from her father's encouragement to break free from always playing male roles. Anxiety swirled in her brain like a blender on max speed. Pulling off femininity even in her skill set. Determined to crack the code, she turned full detective mode on her stage partner, analyzing every fluttery blink and teary-eyed expression like she was cramming for a How to Be Cute 101 final. But just as her character leaned in for the big stage kiss, her mind betrayed her with a pop-up ad from the past, that accidental kiss with a certain walking disaster. Everything froze. The scene came to a screeching halt like a soap opera interrupted by a weather alert. The instructor raised an eyebrow so high it could have reached orbit. Returning home, Kazuki informed you that rehearsals had become exhausting and requested stamina-boosting meals. Additionally, a specific hair conditioner was almost out. She inquired about his availability on the upcoming Sunday. When confirmed, she expressed a desire to go on a date. To you, the idea sounded horrifying.